Lying directly southeast, this is a model of what we should see. First, we should pass over the coast at New Haven, then the English Channel, then the French coast, the lowlands of the River Seine, Paris, and then the hill country beyond, known as the Côte d'Or. At the foot of these hills is the valley of the River Saône, flowing southwards to Lyon, where it joins another river, the Rhone. The waters of the Rhone have come from the glaciers of the Swiss Alps. They flowed many miles through Switzerland and Lake Geneva before crossing the frontier into France. Through the Jura Mountains, the Rhone has cut a deep gorge. We're going to follow the course of the River Rhone from here down to the sea. Recently, several hydroelectric plants have been built to harness the swiftly flowing water. Here at Genescia, a great dam has been built. This plant enables electricity to be distributed over a wide area. In particular, it supplies power for the industries of Lyon, 50 miles away to the west. At Lyon, the Rhone is joined by the Saône, flowing in from the north. The Saône is a broad and sluggish river, meandering through a wide valley. Riverside pastures, flanked with poplars and willows, provide grazing for cattle, and on the cultivated land to the west, cereals and fruit are grown. The vineyards of the Côte d'Or face southeast and produce famous wine. Where the two rivers meet, the big industrial and commercial city of Lyon has grown up. Chemicals are manufactured here, and motor cars. But the oldest and most important industry is the manufacture of silk. Raw silk from Italy and from the East is woven on great looms into fine fabric. The skill of these silk workers of Lyon has been renowned since the Middle Ages. The roofs of the houses in Lyon pitch steeply to enable the rain to run away, for here, as in England, rain is frequent even in June. As we follow the Rhone southwards, we shall see that the summer climate becomes drier and warmer. South of Lyon, the Rhone flows between the foothills of the Alps and the Central Massif, through a series of enclosed plains, some large, some small. These are sometimes separated by gorges, as at Tournon, and again at Danzère. This whole valley is the main routeway between Paris and the Mediterranean coast. Here, through the Tournon Gorge, river, road, and railway run side by side. Between the limestone cliffs of the Danzère Gorge, a dam has been built to control the water, both for the generation of electricity and for irrigation. Here, getting further south, there's much less rainfall, and crops need to be watered. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Romans built this aqueduct to relieve the summer drought. It brought water to the town of Nîmes. House roofs are pitched less steeply in the south. They're often built with hollow tiles and are suitable for warm, dry weather. Small channels carry the water from the river to the fields, where it runs along furrows to reach the growing crops. The warmth of the climate, combined with irrigation, ensures rich harvests. Early fruit and vegetables are grown, many subtropical, like melons and figs. A strong cold wind, known as the mistral, often blows down the valley, and crops are protected by windbreaks of cypress and wattle. Olives are a hardy crop and need no irrigation. Olive oil is an important product for France. The meandering Rhone flows through the last enclosed plain, where it's joined by the River Rhone. Beyond the final narrowing of the valley at Tarascon is the Roman city of Arles. South of the medieval bridge town of Avignon, in the heavy water-holding clay soil of the Durance plain, cereal crops are among the most important. Flowing southwards, past more irrigated fields of vegetables and fruit, the Rhone leads now through a narrow gap to the plains of the delta. Between Tarascon and Arles, the Rhone divides into two channels and flows southwards to the Mediterranean. Between these channels lies the Camargue. It's been built up over thousands of years by silt brought down by the river. In fact, at one time, Arles was on the sea coast. Much of the Camargue is poor and swampy. But today, large areas are being improved by the cultivation of rice, which grows well in this climate with an abundance of fresh water from the Rhone. The irrigated rice crop rids the soil of salt, so that other crops too can be grown. There are a few farms, again with their mistral windbreaks. It's a stock-raising country. Where there's enough pasture, bulls are reared. And on the poorer land, there are bred the hardy, agile white horses of the Camargue. West of here, between the sea and the southeast part of the Central Massif, are the plains of Languedoc. This region grows the bulk of the ordinary wine produced in France. In springtime, the vines are sprayed with chemicals to prevent disease. By September, the grapes are ready for picking, and the harvest comes on with a rush all over this vast area of vineyards. There's not nearly enough local labor to cope with the harvest, and many townsfolk come out to help, just as Londoners go hop picking. This is thirsty work. The pickers work right through the day from dawn to dusk. From large vineyards and small, the grapes are taken to the cooperative cave to be pressed and made into wine. To the east of the Camargue, at the foot of the Alps, is the plain of Crau. Much of it is wasteland covered with stones left behind by former rivers. Land such as this can be used only for rough pasture for sheep in winter. Recently, however, a great deal of the area has been reclaimed and irrigated. Extensive irrigation and the use of modern equipment are now producing good crops of cereals from this once barren land. The poor pastures dry up in summer, so lucerne, a crop with deep roots, is grown for the sheep. This, however, does not provide enough food, and every year in early summer, large flocks are loaded into trains and taken up into the high alpine pastures to graze. Some are led there on foot, but nowadays many flocks go most of the way by train. Goats, being better climbers, are used to lead the sheep over the rough and snowy stretches. In the winter-time, before the snow begins to fall, they'll be brought back to the Crau to graze. There's no port either mouth of the Rhone because of the silt continually brought down by the river. Only to the east is there freedom from silting and shelter from the winds, and here, in a deep-water bay, is the harbour of Marseille, the principal seaport of France. It has its own fishing industry, carried on by small boats and by modern trawlers. But its main activity is the importation of produce and raw materials, much of it from the French colonies in North Africa and from the Far East. Perishable goods, like fruit, are brought in through the port of Marseille and distributed rapidly throughout France. Grain is stored in great silos and loaded into barges through pipelines. Barges are used to carry bulk cargoes northwards up the Rhone. To reach the river, they first traverse the bay, then pass through a tunnel canal to a lake called the Étang de Berre, and so to the Rhone. Many carry petrol and oil for use in industrial towns like Lyon. The current is very strong. Progress is slow, and the river upstream is used only for bulk cargoes. Such, then, is the importance of the River Rhone. It provides essential irrigation water for the crops of the dry south. It provides power for the generation of electricity.